Hey, everybody, welcome to the Geek Perspective. I am Roy, your host, and today we are discussing The Scream. Not The Scream, Scream,
I
the
was like, he
new
said the
movie.
scream.
Yes, not The Scream, Scream, with Leatherface and all the goodness of this movie. Was it good? Stay tuned for that. You will not miss it at all. Hey, everybody, we are back after that debacle of an opening. I'm the host, and I'm here with my co host, Tom. What's going on, Tom?
Nothing. What's going on? Yeah, I was laughing
Not
at that opening.
much.
You were just kind of like stretching words out and drifting off at the end. You.
It was just a mess. Just a mess. Gotta get back into this swing of things here, you know. How's your week been?
Busy, man. Busy with work and oh god, just personal stuff or family stuff, and it's like. Oh God, I work for the weekend, and then it goes by in a flash. We're back at work. It's like never ended. Never ended. How about you, man? What's going on?
Work. We're short a staff member in my department. You know, I started this new job. Love the job. Unfortunately, it's a little less money, which is great because everything's going up in price. So that's great. But so there's more work on myself and my boss, which is fine. It's not, anything crazy. You just do what you got to do and move on. And so that's been busy with that. We're starting the new channel. The Terra TV Twins is getting ready to start. We're doing movie reviews on our Geek channel to set up for the Twins channel. So yeah, so Hunter has a question, I think.
Okay. Scream 4 or the new Scream? I'm gonna say the new Scream. Yeah.
Yeah, if you had a pick, I'd say the new Scream.
The new Scream. I enjoyed it, and we'll get more into it. I definitely problems with it, but I enjoy all the Scream. I like Scream's like a guilty sort of pleasure for me as far as horror movies goes, because it's like I watched the all seasons of the TV series that was on MTV, and that was pretty atrocious. And the first two seasons weren't great. Then they rebooted it, or not like just kind of like blew it up, a whole new cast for season 3, and still watched it because I don't know. It's a guilty pleasure of mine, like the whole thing. But I overall I enjoyed this movie. What about
Where
you,
do you
Roy?
think Leatherface ranks in the top horror villains of our time? Jason, Freddy,
You mean
Michael.
Ghostface,
What did I say?
Leatherface,
Oh, yeah, Ghostface.
Ghostface?
Yeah, sorry.
Like all time, where does he
Yeah, where would
rank?
you rank him? You think? To me, he's a cool character. To me, but that's something new.
Yes, I was sorry. I was just reading Hunter. It's his favorite since Scream 2. I can see that. As far as Ghostface, I honestly kind of will put him maybe at the bottom of the top 10 now. Honestly, I think it's been long enough. There's enough in that franchise. Like, and when I say bottom of the top 10, I'm talking like a 9 or a 10. Somewhere in there. Because it's like for me, it goes Leatherface. Because that's my favorite franchise. Actually, my second favorite franchise is Evil Dead. So I love Ash, even though he's a good guy within it, but he kills
The
monsters.
badass though.
Yeah, he is. And then, would you like to see a Ghostface? No. No, like I was super psyched for Freddy Jason, and it is what it was, and the way it ended, kind of like nobody won. If you watch to the very end when he pulls the mask down in, and
There were a lot of problems with that too, but there were problems with the script,
yeah,
money wise, with production. There was a lot of issues pre-production. They need to do that over and do it the right way. If you can't do it right, don't do it.
and that's my fear with the Ghostface versus Chucky. I mean, yeah, it has the potential to be freaking awesome, but I don't have faith in how they'll make it. Them
Yeah, I don't
making
know how
it,
that would work.
and yeah, it'd be kind of tricky. I mean, hey, if you write a script, Hunter, I'll read it. I'll definitely read it, buddy.
And Hunter asked about spoilers. If we have spoilers, we'll put a spoiler alert. So I'll put that up when we have a spoilers. And then, so if you guys are watching this, if you see that come up, we'll give a couple seconds. I'll put it up. Give a couple seconds so you can fast forward, and then I'll take it down when we stop talking about any spoilers, so everyone's aware.
So how about you? Where do you put Ghostface all time, right? Like I said, I would have to really kind of sit down and think about all the franchises to give you an exact number. But I think it could break. He could break the top 10.
I want to do a give me a second here. I want to do a bracket, which we should have done it for NCAA tournament.
Yeah, that already started, right?
We still could do it in 2 weeks. I have Leatherface in my top 15.
Okay.
I want what I want to do is do a bracket, so everybody's aware. I want to do a bracket system, an NCAA tournament bracket system, not 64 basketball teams, obviously, 64 horror villains. I was thinking like 10 to 15 to 20 horror villains, however we have the top. We think of the top 15 to 20 or whatever we decide, however many, and have them face off and decide who would be the winner. But we have to come up with ideas of, like, how we're gonna decide who wins each round.
Exactly. That's my one question, because that sounds really cool. But how do we?
Look at my list here. I'd have him. I'd have him in the top 15. I don't know. Fair. I wouldn't have him very high, personally.
That's fair. That I probably should have said the top, 15. But like, honestly, I feel like he may. I don't know for sure, but I feel like he could break my top 10. So
I think Hunter loves Ghostface. He wants Ghostface, Leprechaun, Ghostface, Leatherface. Leatherface would kill Ghostface.
Yeah.
That wouldn't even be a battle. Leatherface is too menacing. Ghostface is a killer.
Ghostface isn't going to win a lot against a lot of these guys, because Ghostface, first of all, there is no one Ghostface. You know what I mean? And they're all people, and some are women. So not that that's a bad thing or anything. Like, I'm just saying smaller. You know what I mean? Where Leatherface is this big giant man, and then you got Jason and Freddy, who are supernatural, so I don't think Ghostface is gonna win against most of them. Still could be cool though, and he wants to be part of the bracket. So we'll let you know how it works. Once we figure out how we're gonna do it, we'll let you know, Hunter, on the brackets. It's once we kind of figure it out. So
you want to get into the review of Scream?
Yeah, let's do it.
Ready for this?
Yes.
All right. So the movie came out in January 14th, 2022. Was it not right? No. When did Scream come out?
February 14th?
Was February 14th?
I don't know. Let me hear. I can look it up. I know it wasn't long. It wasn't long ago. Because I know, like, Shay had told me he had paid to rent it, like a couple weeks ago, like a week ago or 2 weeks ago.
I thought it just came out recently, but I have
January 14th. Scream 2020. Okay.
So it was 114 minutes long. which is the average horror.
You're right. January 14th,
What?
2022. Yeah.
That was like early March or something.
Nah, I mean, it just
came out.
yeah. I mean, it's only that's still been only 2 months. February, March.
It seems like a mile.
And it went to the theaters first. So
for some reason, I thought it was coinciding in the theaters and
no. It dropped on Paramount later. Because, like I said, Shay had watched it 2 weeks before, renting it on Prime or something like that. So,
okay,
yeah. So that sounds right to me. About 2 months.
So the movie was 114 minutes, which is about average. Tom mentioned that in the last movie review, which is about average for a horror movie.
Yeah.
Matt Bettinelli opened, directed it with Tyler Gillett. Now, there were 2 directors. That's going to be a little confusing. I don't understand why that happened. Producers.
Yeah. 2 directors.
You want to comment on that?
I'm wondering, was it like, did they work together, or did one do part of the movie, then get fired, or had to leave? So or maybe had to leave, and then the second came in. Like, it just seems strange. You don't hear about 2 directors often. Now, granted, a lot of times directors have, well, almost all times directors have assistant directors and stuff like that people work alongside them. But you don't really hear about co-directing. So I'm curious how that would work.
All right, if you had crunching, my dog's going to be crunching on his bone. Hasn't touched his bone all day, but because now we're doing a review, he wants to play with his bone. You know?
Mm-hmm.
He's not getting attention. He doesn't want anyone to have any attention. So it didn't say anything about anyone leaving because I looked real quick. I didn't do a deep dive into it. So if anyone out there knows, did someone have to leave? Were they doing different parts of production for the direction? I don't know. This is weird. But anyway, producers with William Shattuck, James Vanderbilt, Paul Neenstein. If I'm pronouncing his names wrong, I don't care. Kevin Williamson. I won't pronounce that name wrong. The man himself who created Scream, didn't he?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yes. And the cast. Now, I was surprised that Billy Loomis was actually on the movie.
Yeah. And they used, they aged him up in certain scenes and stuff. That was kind of cool. Skeet, right? Skeet Ulrich.
Yep, he was.
That was cool, which I kind of have a theory for the next couple of movies, and I don't think it's that far-fetched. I'm sure a lot of other people have the same theory, but
and that's not really a spoiler. He's in throughout the whole movie, pretty much.
Yeah.
So I didn't put the disclaimer up for that, but we had Jenna Ortega, Courtney Cox. Jenna Ortega played Tara Carpenter. And Courtney Cox played her famous character, obviously Gail Weathers. And Mickey Madison played Amber Freeman, which she did pretty well. Melissa Barrera played Sam Carpenter, the bad child of the family. Nev Campbell played Sidney Prescott. Dylan Minnette played Wes Hicks. And David Arquette obviously was in it also. Typical cast.
Did you say the boyfriend, the kid from The Boys there?
No, I didn't think of him yet. No. Yeah, Jack Quaid.
Jack Quaid, fucking the Quaid's son there, Dennis Quaid's son.
Yep.
And
he's one of my favorite people in the whole movie.
He's got a very likable face, and it's because I thought the same thing, and I like him. I like him as Huey in The Boys, which is a great show. If anybody hasn't watched that, check out The Boys on Amazon. But yeah, I like him. I like him a lot, and he looks a lot like his father. It's just a lot, like not like if you stand and they look identical, but they just have a lot of the same features and stuff. And so it's yeah.
When they were talking, this movie, how they talk about things you don't do in a horror movie, or there are certain things that happen in a horror movie. when they
Yeah.
were like, look at the boyfriend right away. Look at the boyfriend. And I'm like, no, it can't be him. It can't be him. He's that smile. There's no way it's him, you know.
Yep.
But yeah, he has that smile and he has that that look of like cool dude kind of thing. So overall, this movie is 11 years later from Scream 4. 2011. That's a long time in between movies, which I think, in my opinion, and we're going to get into a deep dive in this, actually helped this movie, believe it or not.
I do too.
They've been planning this movie for a while. It's not like it hasn't been planned, but with the whole sexual allegations against Weinstein, that all moved the franchise. And I don't know if they sold it or if someone else just took it over, but Spyglass Media Group took it over in 2019, which hence the movie ended up moving forward at that point, which is why it's just coming out now. The whole Weinstein's company, that despicable piece of crap.
Yeah.
Just,
Ugh, he's
we all
gross.
remember that would happen with that.
He's
That
gross.
still has reverberations through Hollywood, I think.
Oh yeah. It will for decades. I mean, thank God, in a good way. It's having good reverberations through it. Get it, all these, because he wasn't the only. I mean, he was the worst, but he wasn't the only one either. So it was, yeah, it's a good thing.
So
what you were saying, I agree. I think. Well, on top of that, the gap in the time, that 11 years, it's like absence makes the heart grow fonder, you know? We're getting spammed. That's funny.
Right.
That's funny.
So, the beginning of the movie, it starts a typical Scream movie. And I wasn't minding it. I'm saying, all right, typical Scream movie. I'm okay with this. I'm not going to get into what happens, but I'm just going to mention.
If you let something slip, don't worry, buddy.
I'm not worried about it, but you're right. Yeah, I'm trying not to because I don't want to give much away because I want people to see the movie. The character goes to the door with a knife in her hand. Opens the door. There's no knife in her hand. It's gone. She didn't drop it. I rewound it. I watched it again. I watched it a third time.
Really? I'm gonna have to go back and watch
the door. The knife is gone. Like,
oh, that's some bad editing.
Where's the knife go? And I'm like, but I was like, you know what? It's okay.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch that now.
It's a goofy thing. Yeah. And if you see what happened, let me know because I'm like, I don't see where the knife went. I tried to listen to see if she dropped it. I didn't hear anything. So I'm like, oh, maybe she dropped it. And I'm like, it didn't appear to me she dropped it. So if anyone out there knows what happened with the knife, let me know. So that kind of struck a thing for me right away. It wasn't like this movie's going to suck. But it was like, all right. Maybe it'd be one of those. Remember 20 years ago when Scream came out, the 2022 version? That knife craziness, right? Because that happens in movies,
Yeah.
Another scene, I'll mention one more, then I'll let you mention if you want to mention anything. When the guy was pissing outside against the wall, what the fuck was up with the bat cape going by the camera? Like a scene from Batman. Did you notice that? When the guy who was pissing, I think it was at the bar. Was it a bar or a club or something? He was pissing against a brick wall. I think it was a brick wall in the parking lot. After getting almost a fight with the black kid in the bar.
Okay.
He was pissing, and then it shows a pan shot from a distance, and a black cape, Ghostface, goes by the camera really fast. It was like a whoosh.
Okay.
That was like, are you freaking kidding me? That's ridiculous. That is totally ridiculous. Again, I rewound that too. I was like, what is this?
I'm gonna have to rewatch that because I'm remembering it, but it didn't stick out to me. But I'll rewatch it.
I was like, this is not Batman. What the fuck? You know? So those two things stuck out for me right away. I was like, all right, you're starting to add up now.
That's funny. Yeah, no, like, so overall, I like the story a lot. It's your basic Scream, it just opens. So in that first scene, where she gets the phone call, it sets up just like a lot of the Scream. She gets the phone call. She's in the kitchen alone. I was waiting and waiting for it to cut and be that was part of the Stab movies with it, the movie within the movie. I kept waiting for that, and then finally the scene goes on for a while. I'm like, okay, maybe it's not. But yeah, so for you out there, it's your general setup. There it is. She gets a call, boom, and it's Ghostface, and he's playing the game. She's got to answer these questions, and she actually answers them. She opens the door. He's there. Blah blah blah. It's the same setup. And then you find out their relationships that and shit. But what was I going to say off of that? So part of it right away, like I Scream's always been like a meta, very meta in the way they do it. They say the rules to horror movies that you don't do, stuff like that. In this movie, I think they might have overdid it just a tad. Like everything was super meta, you know what I mean? Like it was just so that kind of, I mean, I think that was a little overdone because we get it. We know, you're within it. In like at this point, and they've established what I did like is that they made it very clear. They established that it's, there was the original, when it happened, and now every, few years or every 10, they said few to 10 or whatever years that somebody decides to do it again. Somebody copycat. So I like how they're you know what I mean? They're keeping that linear, that continuity to it. So I really enjoy. I thought that was good. But yeah, the meta stuff. It's like it became too cute for me. It's like we're winking at you. We know, and it's like. I like that to a certain degree, but not like it's not being clever. It's just in your face. So, but overall, I really liked it. Well, I liked it. I don't know where
I went the opposite way. I didn't hate the story, but I thought it was a pretty poor, lazy story.
Yeah.
And I don't entirely mean that in a bad way. I think I'm not trying to say like it was horrible. It's ridiculous. It was an okay story, but when I say poor, I'm more mean like lazy. It was your typical Scream, like you said. Some of the stuff was overdone. I think it was easy to do. When like the one thing I did like was like you said to keep the continuity. Every so often a new person pops up. Why are they popping up? That I would like to have known that.
Oh, they kind of said it. It's to be famous, just kind of like the ones in this one to be famous. It's to people wanting fame in that wrong way. And it's so odd to me that there's people out there that like it. For example, if you watch Inventing Anna about the fake heiress from New York, that it's which is a true story and shit.
Yeah,
she loves being famous for being in jail. Like that's just weird to me. Like to have fame but be locked up for your, you know what I mean? But
yeah, I have a problem with that too because like I understand what they're saying, but if you're gonna do it, you're deranged. You're not going to be. You're a messed up individual.
Yeah.
I don't see that kind of person wanting fame.
Oh, I don't know. I see. I can see what you're saying. I definitely can see what you're saying. That did
It's
not.
a horror movie though, so I let that go.
See, for me, it made because I can totally see people I know there's people like that exist. So that didn't bother me, but I can definitely see your gripe there for sure.
What did
I
you
can.
think? Like when Gail and Dewey had that fight at the sheriff's house, when she got murdered. Which I'm sorry, that should have been a thing.
Well, I'm about to say because I was trying to be careful as I'm talking. We should just kind of say that there's going to be spoilers
Yeah,
from this point for a little while. In and out.
yeah,
If people because without giving away certain stuff, it's like these conversations get kind of hard to even have because
yeah,
we're
yeah.
both trying to
I'm saying, I'm like, I probably should have put the screen up. But
but now go ahead.
when they had
Spoilers,
that fight,
guys.
yes, next few minutes gonna be spoilers. When they had that fight in front of our house, I didn't care at all about that fight. For two characters that I actually liked, I was like, a murder just happened, and you guys are fighting. I'm like, what is going on here?
Wait a minute. What fight are you talking about?
Gail and Dewey.
Okay, yeah.
When they the first time she sees him and like is that picking at each other. It wasn't horrible or anything, but I'm like, your main focus is your relationship with someone who's got murdered. Her body's right there. And you're like, I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't like that's stupid. It's horrible, but I was like, I don't care. Like,
well, and the argument was he had told her not to come.
Right.
He through a text.
Right.
He said, "Don't come." This one, or a message or whatever, and said, "This one feels different. Don't come." And she comes, and then he's kind of annoyed because he thinks she's solely there for the story, and she's there for the story, but she's like, no, 90% of it, I'm here for you. And now they're divorced at this point. They're no longer together. Dewey's no longer the sheriff. But he still lives in the, kind of looks like he's on a little bit of hard times. And yeah, and then she's like, no, I came for you. And then of course I'm gonna talk about the story, but I'm here for you. And that's what they're arguing about. Yeah, I can see why, because yeah, there's so, there's a murders just happened and you're arguing, but they had to get that exposition in, that little part of the story for us to understand somehow. So
yeah,
they could have probably done it a little more elegantly than just shoving it in right there.
Well, just doing that, I was just like, I mean, I think it could have been done an easier way than just like. I don't think it needed to be done that way.
She could have even done a voicemail. Yeah, like
I don't think it had to be a scene in the movie. I think they could have done like I don't know. It was just it seemed like it wasn't needed.
That's fair. That's totally valid.
What problems I have with this movie?
Yeah,
was the blood and the jump scares, the horrible blood. Blood was just horrible. What was the special effects? Jesus.
None of the jump scares got me.
No.
And I definitely that was kind of a bummer that none of them were like none of because in like you can still get me with a jump scare here and there, you know what I mean? And some movies are still able to do it. I think Leatherface got me at one point or something, but they just didn't get me in this one. It was
all very tame. Even the murders, like it just seemed very tame.
Yeah, there was none. There was no murder that was just like I always like in a movie when there's like a really sort of like over the top murder or something like that, and they all seem kind of. Yeah, maybe all the cool way they couldn't think of a really cool way. Maybe they've done it
using a knife. I mean, how many ways to kill someone with a knife? Unfortunately, that's kind of a bland weapon. All you can do is stab them. I mean,
yeah.
You need to give him a chainsaw. He's a chainsaw.
I did like though that they did bring back Dewey, Gale, and Sydney or Nev Campbell's character. I liked that in there. I liked
that was the best part of the movie for me.
They it gave it a more like a Scream feel, like where
Legit.
some
Yeah.
of the other ones towards the end, they kind of petered out a little. It seemed like where that they rejuvenated it for me. I think.
Do
For me
you
personally.
think this was their swan song, or do you see them possibly being in, if they wanted to, another Scream, or do you think they? Because there's gonna be another movie. I know you
Yeah.
know there's gonna be another movie at some point. Do you
Well, I was
think there'll be
thinking
a whole new
about it.
cast, or will they come back? You think?
So spoilers.
Mhm.
Dewey. You know, how do
Yeah.
you? I mean, you could. They've done crazier things. They brought other characters back. Now, I probably don't see them in the like. Well, obviously not Dewey, but I don't see maybe Sydney and Gale in the next movie. Maybe a clip of Gale. I don't know in the next one, but I could see them popping up down the road again.
Like cameos, kind of thing.
What?
Like cameo kind of appearances, kind of
Yeah,
thing.
like I could see Gale in the next one in cameos, like on the TV, a TV within the movie or something, and showing it, something like that. Nev, I think you keep Nev's character for like big ones. Like this was a big one because you kind of like it seems like they're kind of rebooting. You know what I mean? I know it's Scream 4, but it's been 11 years since we had a Scream movie. So
You know what I would do?
what's that?
I'd have him come back in a few years and have Nev Campbell be the killer. Bring it all full circle.
I could see that.
That could be a badass. I mean, it'll be legit because you snap. At some point, it's like, what the fuck is going on? Like all these people, my life was upside down, and all you people are, impressioning that someone would try to kill me when I was a kid. And she just snapped and
I have a theory, and I'll say this more towards the end of the episode, but I have a theory about who will be the next Ghostface. I do.
Me not loving the story, the Stab movie, I would see that in a second. They should make a Stab movie. When they were talking about it near the end of the movie, they're like, "Oh, the Stab movie." Da, 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 da. I was like, I want to see that. Please make that film. I'm like, don't kill those characters. Let them make the movie because I want to see it.
That'd be cool. I did like how they're like, oh my god, the Stab 8 is ridiculous. He's got like a flamethrower and
like the movies they were talking about, like we're gonna make a Stab movie. I'm like, I want to see that movie. That sounds badass.
Yeah, I have a theory who the next Ghostface will be. I'll say it at the end of the episode or towards the end of the episode. There was something I wanted to jump in, just talk about before that, though. Fuck.
Well, what's that?
Anyway, keep on. Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
All right, now the spoiler. When the girl was set on fire at the end of the film, the girl's on flames. You know what popped in my head? I was like, this is perfect. This franchise is going to hell. It was like, this movie isn't the best movie. And it's like the film, she's going up in flames. That was my initial thought. Like, as I absorbed everything, I softened a little bit. But at that moment, I was like, "Yep, this franchise is blowing up in smoke."
I liked it because, like we were talking about just recently, like there was no sort of like super big over the top kill that I like just stuck out where it was super like presentational and hey, look what I did, and where that was like, oh, that's kind of cool. She's on fire, and you knew she was gonna pop back up,
That was my best scene, my favorite scene in the whole movie was when she came out screaming. That was the coolest part of the whole film for me. That is awesome.
What do you think about the whole Dewey? Do you think that he comes back ever, Dewey? You think that's final?
I think he's done.
I do too.
I think he has stuff going on.
I know he's wrestling again, so
that's what I was heading towards. He's doing that stuff, so I'm like, theoretically, he could pop in flashbacks, but I don't know.
They could do it like a la like a Billy, like they did Billy Loomis in this one. So yeah, I I hope they don't go. I hate when franchises kind of like go back on a death and like and it's so unbelievable that how he comes back or whatever. Like so. I think he's done, but I could definitely see him and maybe flash, like you said, some sort of flashbacks or as a ghostly ghostly figure and stuff. So when on the reveal of the killers, had you guessed any of the killer? Did you get
Yes.
any of it right or all of it right?
The
Or
girl from the beginning, I nailed her within 5 minutes of the film.
me too.
You know,
Me too.
And
How
then-
about? But the other one, you said no, though, right?
no, I thought it was her alone.
I was going back and forth on him. I was
And
going, but her, like you said, I nailed right away. So
when I realized there had to be two killers, I was like, who else could it be? And I was like, no, it can't be him. I'm like, who else could it be? And then I just kind of let it go until it was really it was. I'm like, oh, that's my boy. No, no.
He was a good he made a lot of sense. I mean, they both made sense. She had that whole thing. She didn't like the sister because everything that went down where with the sister and her father really being Billy but the guy that took care of her not knowing and her blowing up the whole family by finding out and then yelling at the mom, not realizing the father was behind her, all that stuff. And that girl hated her for all that. So like her, it was very clear. Him, I would go back and forth and they did a good job. They both of them made sense to me too. Like it wasn't like, because I've seen in other movies that when it gets time to the reveal, the twist, it's like they try to go way too crazy, and it's like it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't work, yeah.
And it made sense, even the way he did it. Claimed they'd never seen any of the Scream movies when he's going up with her, how they got the sister back into town. That all made sense to me. So I thought it was good, but it still one of my bigger problems is. Screams are, we talked about this at the top. We talked about it with Hunter's comments. Ghostface are people, they're not supernatural. They're people that are a little crazy. But so the girl, she's not a big girl at all and kicking the shit out of people and stuff like that. That kind of took me out of it a little bit because it's like she's the one that kills Dewey. Because if you remember, because fucking the boyfriend there, he's
there was no way that was a small person killing Dewey.
No, and like we established in real life, he's wrestling. You can see that he's a bigger guy. You can see you can see that he's even bigger than the last movies he was in.
Leatherface would never would act him. He was a bigger person. It wasn't like a tiny little girl.
And she's she's the one that kills Dewey, and in a pretty crazy the way she's holding him up with a knife and gets another knife in there. It's like that girl looks like she's all of 5'3" and like maybe 100 pounds. So that's I found a little problematic. It's good. Him, okay, he's a guy, he's a little bit bigger and stuff. And I'm not saying please don't think I'm not saying girls aren't tough or can't be or anything like that. I'm saying this girl in particular was
a huge size disparity.
Yeah. And then they're dating.
Yeah.
Isn't she in high school? How old is he supposed to be in this movie?
He'd be in high school, huh?
Yeah, she's in high school. I mean, he's college-ish because he's with the older sister.
Well, they're always demented people,
Yeah, but it probably icky. a little. I mean, they don't. It could be I shouldn't say that. I mean, she's in high school. She could be 18, and he could be only 20, or even. I knew 19-year-olds and 7. When you're that age, it is different. But they didn't say it, and it just like it stuck out to me. I'm like, wait. When they revealed it, I'm like, wait, they're together. Like, I don't. They haven't established because again, this girl is. She looks young. She's smaller person, and so it just that I thought that was a little problematic for me personally. That was a little problematic, their relationship. there.
Right.
So, trying to think anything else, and I'm gonna before I reveal who I think the next Ghostface will be. But
I liked how they tied in Heather Matanzaro, who played Martha Meeks, who was in a lot of the other early films, and her kids were the twins.
oh, yep,
That was
that
a
was
cool
cool.
surprise.
It was cool. The all the lineage
Yes.
that was pretty cool.
Which I think they for a movie like for a franchise like this, I think that's important. I
Yeah,
think you're a step down from Freddy Krueger, whereas you're not a funny movie, but you're comical in certain aspects, and to tie in the lineage, I think adds to the whole "oh, that's awesome" kind of thing.
I agree.
So,
I definitely.
took me a moment. I'm like, I know her, and then when I realized, okay, no, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, it gives it a more important, and like they even kind of talk about like when because they have the character that knows all the rules to the horror movies, and more specifically all the stab movies. But she's a like super horror buff, and she knows like the different genres, and I forget what they were even calling the stab one, but in some of the other ones, and we're being meta, and uh, fuck, and what was oh my god. I keep doing that. I start talking and then I just lose my train of thought mid sentence. Um, shoot. But yeah, no, I know we're talking about the lineage. It definitely, the requel. And then she was calling it like when movies sort of like a la this one, it's been 11 years and it's not a straight sequel and it's not a complete reboot. You know what I mean? It's so what do you call it? And she was calling it the requel, which I really liked. I thought that I was like, no, that's kind of clever, a requel, because it's not a straight
Yeah.
sequel and it's not a reboot. It's somewhere in between, and because then they have that lineage that they brought in, which like we both said really I helped this movie. I think you made it, and it made it feel important within the franchise that they did it. This feels more important to me than Scream 4 or Scream 3. A lot more important, in
I
my
think
opinion.
having Dewey and Nev Campbell and Courtney
Yeah,
Cox, even I and Courtney Cox, have them back. I think that made if they weren't in this movie, man, I'd be really down on this film right now.
yeah, they definitely helped. And so, I mean, like I said, overall, I liked it. I'm usually like that with horror films, though. It's like even when they're bad, I like them. But I'm not saying this is bad. There are definitely problem points, but it's not a bad movie. There are worse ones within the franchise. So, you have any guesses who the if they make another Scream
Nev
movie and it
Campbell,
comes off of this movie, say
Nev
it
Campbell,
has a direct sort of within that lineage, do you have a thought on who would be the next?
Nev Campbell.
You think? Oh, that's right. You said that, Nev
Mhm.
Campbell.
She'd
So,
be the perfect killer.
I think that would be great. I don't know about the next one for me. I think down the road you build to Nev Campbell maybe, but I think at some point she would be great, and I'd make it come full circle. Um, for me, so Billy, the sister, Billy Loomis's daughter, when she's going to kill. I keep wanting to call him Huey because he's Huey on The Boys. Um, I can't remember. Do you remember his character's name? The boyfriend.
Yes, it
It
was
wasn't anything. It was just a normal name
Richie.
too. And Richie.
Yes, Richie
Okay.
Kirsch.
And so she, they're fighting at the end, blah blah blah, and then she's, when she kills him and she's stabbing the fuck out of him, and she sees Billy, right, and her father and all of that shit, and don't your big mistake was you don't fuck with a serial killer's daughter, and then she's done. she pulls out the knife and she does
Mhm.
across the blade like that, which
Yes.
I'm assuming was on the duller side because she would have cut the fuck out of her hand otherwise. So right there, you got the image right before like Nev can't. They all come in, blah blah blah. This one. So at the end of the movie, when they're all out and everything's winding down, sort of that denouement moment of the movie after the climax. They right before the credits, it flashes real quick, and you see Ghostface. Just for like, and they do that, I think, on every movie, right at the credits. Again, it's all done. Everybody's going to the hospital or home or wherever they're because it's over. But Ghostface in that half a second clip does that with the knife, the thing that she just did 2 minutes before. He has the knife and he just wipes blood. The exact
when
same.
she does that, you get the appearance that like, could she be the next killer? Because I thought the same thing.
Yeah, so that's my theory. Now it's probably a red herring. They probably threw it out there on purpose to maybe make you think it. But that's my theory that she would, and I think she would be a good one. They've established that she's a serial killer's daughter. They established that she had sort of dark thoughts even before this was happening.
Mm-hmm.
She was seeing him, and then this happens.
Yep.
And so I could see that would make sense. Again, it could be a red herring. They could have done that on purpose or whatever.
No, I totally agree with that. I had that same thought.
So
was that
was my theory for the next ones.
So would you give the movie 1 out of 5?
So I'll go 3.25, 3.25, whatever. We will go space 3.25, and just explanation. I don't think anything gets a 5. So if we're taking this as a percentage, 4 out of 5 is 80%. It would be 80 out of 100, right? So 3 out of 5 is I'm bad at math, 60% or something. So it's a little over that. Like it would be. For me, it would be like if you were to put it in grade school, like a C+ B- type in it for anybody out there in school or something. What about you? I know it's going to be lower than. I'm sure it's lower than mine. But
1.5 without a doubt.
Wow,
No
dude!
question.
Wow.
The knife disappears. The Batman scene. The blood effect was horrible. No jump scares. Weird things, scenes of like Dewey and Gale fighting for no reason. It didn't need to be there. It needed to move the story along, but you could do it better ways. The stab movie in the movie sounded better than this movie. That's a huge problem for me. Huge problem. When I wanted to stab more than that, so I was like, I was going between 2.5. I was like, I can't. When the movie sounds better to me than the movie that I'm watching is. Yeah, you gotta. So yeah, unfortunately, it hurts my feelings because I'm a Ghostface fan. I love the character. I think it's one of the cooler characters for the horror genre. But yeah, 1.5.
Wow, I didn't think you'd be that low. Yeah. I really didn't.
I have a lot of problems with this movie.
I'm usually super critical too of movies, but like this, like I judged it because at the end I had fun. So I think that's what helped the score. Like at the end of it, I was like, oh, I don't regret watching that. I don't, it was a fun hour and a half or whatever. So it moved along at a good clip. At no point did I feel like I was like, oh, I gotta get up and do something, So, but yeah, I'm surprised. Wow, 1.5.
I was comparing it to the first couple of movies, which I really liked.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
I'm
going to give them a 3 or a 4. I can't give this. This is nowhere near as good as those. So I was like, I got to crush it.
Yeah, I can see that for consistency. Because I guess mine wouldn't make sense if you look back at other grades I've given movies and the way I grade. But like I said, if I had fun with it, and
horror movies, that's the most important thing. Did you have fun?
Yeah. And the franchise, like I said, it's a guilty pleasure. I watched even the shitty TV series on MTV. So
Again, that's another problem I have with this movie. Like, I've seen horrible movies that I enjoyed more than this movie.
That's
It's the weirdest thing. But that's our review for this movie, and we're gonna have plenty more. And you guys can tune in to our Terror TV Twins channel. You can get more stuff, more movie reviews. We're gonna be doing a bracket challenge of horror killers. A lot of cool stuff coming up. So stay tuned for that. Every Saturday we're gonna do a geek. Well, every Saturday, every so often on Saturday we're doing our live geek shows. So make sure you guys tune in.
and we got our Christine episode coming. So
Yes, it'll be coming up soon. So check out that on the Terror TV Twins channel, YouTube channel. So it's Terror TV Twins. So check it out. All right, guys. Thank you for listening to our show, watching our show. If you're listening, thank you very much. So for Tom and myself, have a great evening. Go watch Scream and let us know what you think.